Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one, we are going to have a look at another collaboration beer. So this one is half Latvian on the home side, half Quebecois Canadian on the away side, and both of the breweries involved in this one have featured on the channel a couple of times before. When it comes to the Latvian brewery, they are one of the real pioneers of the Latvian craft beer scene, and I would say that they're best known for their different kinds of New England hazy, whatever you want to call them, IPAs, the big fruity juicy smoothie sours, and they do a good number of big imperial stouts as well these days, and I'm seeing that they're starting to diversify and do even more styles, which is very nice to see. When it comes to the Quebecois Canadian brewery, those guys are a little bit newer to me, but as far as I can gather, they are best known for their different kinds of New England hazy, whatever you want to call them, IPAs, and they do a wide variety of different sour beers actually, both the kind of modern smoothie type ones and also the more kind of old school woody type things as well. So yeah, still quite an up and coming brewery, but again they've established a very good reputation for themselves, and I've certainly been impressed with the beers that I've had from both breweries thus far, so quite cool to see them do a collaboration together. But yeah, this beer is a style that I've tried from both breweries before, if memory serves me correctly. It's one that I know both can do very well, and also a style that I really do quite enjoy in fact. So needless to say, I'm very curious to see what this beer is going to have in store for us. Hopefully it's another good beer, hopefully it makes for an interesting review, and as always I hope that you guys watching enjoy my take on this one as well. So yeah, for this review then, for the home side of things, we are going to go to Latvia like I said. We are going to go to a little place called Eimuri, which is in the Ādāži region, kind of to the northwest of the capital Riga. Or sorry, the northeast of Riga, not the northwest, that would be in the sea. But yeah, to the northeast of Riga. And that means that we're going to have a look at another beer from the wonderful Arpus. So this particular beer has quite a simple name, which is common with Arpus of course. This one is called Apricot Blackberry Cherry Raspberry Smoothie Sour Ale, and it's brewed in collaboration with Messorem Bractorium, who are from Montreal in Quebec over in Canada. So yeah, 5.5% ABV this one, smoothie sour ale, something that we've had from both breweries before, but I would say that I'm a little bit more familiar with the Arpus offerings in this style category than the Messorem ones. I think I've only had one of these from Messorem before. But yeah, let's crack on with this one then and see how we go. Really cool to see these guys collaborate, and also very cool to see Canadian beer, Quebecois beer, getting out there a little bit more, because for a long time Canadian beer was very difficult to get in Europe, and I've seen more of it coming here to Hong Kong as well. Arpus have been exporting from their very early days in all honesty. But yeah, let's crack on then and see what the beer is going to have in store for us. So, as always with my reviews, I'll tell you a little bit about the breweries involved here before we taste the beer. If you want to get straight to the tasting though, just fast forward. All the usual links can be found in the video description below. That's the brewery websites, the link to my other reviews that I've done, both from Arpus and from Messorem Bractorium, and we will no doubt add more to both of those lists at some point in the near future. But there's all the usual social media down there. If you want to see more reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The support that you give is massively appreciated, and remember you can go into the channel homepage and search for beer using the geography tagging system. So just go in there, use the little search bar, put in your hometown, state, county, province, whatever you like. If I've reviewed beers from the area that you search for, they will pop up. Failing that though, you can check out the playlist of beers from different countries. You'll find this one in the Latvian playlist and the Canadian playlist. Those are both being added to whenever I get the opportunity, not as often as I would like, right enough, but do make sure you check out the playlist of beers from other countries as well, because there are some very interesting things on the channel these days. But yeah, let's go on to my brewery notes then, and I'll tell you a wee bit about the breweries then. We'll start off with Arpus, since they are the home brewery in this case. So as I've mentioned to you already, Arpus are from Latvia, and the company was founded back in 2017 by two homebrewers. This was Jirts Tihomirovs and Vladimirs Berezins. So they started off as a gypsy brewery, but they were based primarily in the Riga area, and in their first year they brewed at 4 different breweries around Latvia, which they said really helped them learn about different brewing equipment and how the whole process works. A few years later, in 2019, they received funding from the Latvian Investment and Development Agency and also from the EU Agricultural Fund for Rural Development, and they invested about 200,000 euros in their own brewery in Eimuri in the Ādāži region, which is to the northeast of Riga. Not the northwest, as I said earlier. Like I say, that would be in the sea. But the new brewery brewery facility helped them increase their output quite dramatically, and they apparently export around 90% of their output. And this is quite common in the Baltic countries, because obviously, you know, Estonia is like 1.3 million, I think Latvia is about 2, and I think Lithuania is about 3 point something, if I remember rightly. So quite small populations, these countries, but yeah, they can export their beer and things freely to a lot of Western Europe. So we get cheap beer for we get cheap beer that's very, very good from the Baltic countries. So always very, very happy about that. But Arpus are operating a 2,000 litre brew kit, and they've got several 2,000 and 4,000 litre fermentation vessels, and they've basically been gradually building up that fermentation capacity over the last few years. But the name Arpus is taken from the Latvian word that means outside of the box, and that's what they say they're doing, is they're making beers that are outside of the box of normal Latvian beers, and they've done it very well. As of May 2025, when I'm filming this review for you, these guys have produced just over 130 different kinds of beer according to Untappd, and we do get their things quite regularly out here in Hong Kong, which I am very happy about, of course. But yeah, these guys, one of the real pioneers of the Latvian craft beer scene. Indeed, these guys were the first Latvian brewery that I really heard of, to be quite honest with you, but there are quite a few interesting things going on there now, as I mentioned. But yeah, they do some very nice hazy IPAs, and also some nice kind of fruity smoothie sours and things like that as well. So yeah, that is everything we can really say about Arpus. I really recommend you check these guys out should you get the chance. Their beers are very, very good. But yeah, let's go on to my brewery notes then, and I'll tell you a wee bit about Messorem Bractorium once again then. So, Messorem, as I've mentioned to you already, are based in Montreal in Quebec over in Canada, and the three men behind the company are Marc-André Fillon, Sébastien Chaput, and also Vincent Menard. And these guys met in the underground music scene in the city during the early 2000s. But Sébastien is a guitarist and plays for the metal band Iron Dissonance, and they've played all across the world, but more recently he studied business management and finance, and he takes care of the business side of the company. Vincent was a drummer for another metal band called Last Felony, and he was an avid home brewer for years before he went to study brewing formally, and then he interned at Oval Brewing Company and Pit Caribou before going to work for Les Trois Mousquetaires for 2 years, and he's now the one that takes care of the brewing side of the business. Marc-André was the singer of Orphans in Coma and Here Comes the Hurricane, but more recently he's been rapping with La Carabine. He studied design and marketing before working in the field professionally, and he's the main man behind the branding and the artwork of Messorem Bractorium. But apparently back in 2015 they would meet every Friday in a group of friends to do beer tastings and try rare beers from across the world. But this got them wondering about how they could satisfy their desire for these big flavoured beers without having to bring back only very small amounts. And this got them talking about brewing this kind of beer for themselves and founding their own microbrewery. So Marc-André's father, Christian, was really impressed by the group's tenacity at getting the project off the ground, and he spoke to his friend Francois Garot, who helped find the company's current home by La Chine Canal on Pitt Street. But Christian had worked in pharma while Francois had been a professor of mathematics and also worked in real estate on the side, and the two men joined the company officially as partners. But the name Messorem Bractorium is taken from Latin, and it translates into English as the Brewery of the Reaper, hence their logo, if you like. But the brewery opened its doors to the public in August of 2019, and they've got a tap room on site with a terrace and capacity for 250 people apparently. They collaborate with Mitch Daly, who run the kitchen. They serve all sorts of food, and if you look at pictures of the place, it does look very nice. I think that's one that I will need to earmark for an out and about video when I make it to Montreal. But over the years the brewery have become very well known for their IPAs and their sour beers as well, and as of May 2025 when I'm filming this review for you, these guys have produced 710 different kinds of beer according to Untappd. But yeah, that is everything I can really tell you about Messorem Bractorium for the moment. Again, if you want to learn more about the brewery, you can check out the brewery website, follow them on Facebook and Instagram to keep up to date with all the latest goings on, and you can check out the Untappd page to learn a little bit more about all the different beers that these guys have done. But yeah, that is everything for the moment. So let's have a little look at the beer itself. I'm just going to roll the can a little bit and turn it upside down a few times, because this is a can that I've actually had for a little while, and it kind of got pushed to the back of the the fridge, if you like, and it was, yeah, I actually forgot about this one. So yeah, that's why I'm kind of wanting to get this done, because two very, very good sour beer breweries, it's not something that you want to let go to waste, in all honesty. So there, we've rolled it about, we've inverted it a few times. I'll just let you have a wee look at the artwork on this one before we open up. This artwork is of course more akin to what you would see from Arpus. Like I said, Arpus is a Latvian word for, meaning, it means like outside of the box. So yeah, that's why their logo is a box. And then yeah, Messorem Bractorium, the brewery of the Reaper. And as you can see, the title is just down here. Apricot, Blackberry, Cherry, Raspberry, Smoothie, Sour Ale. Not sure if that's going to fit in the whole YouTube thing right enough. So I need to think about what we're actually going to name this beer. But it says, it says on the side here, Messorem Bractorium Incorporated is an industrial microbrewery project with a tasting room in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, which specialises in the brewing and design of IPA beers, sour beers and aged beers in barrels. In this collaborative smoothie sour ale, the sweet thick mouthfeel of apricot is balanced by the tartness of berries and cherries. Sounds good. But yeah, plain silver top on the can there, as you can see. This one is a 440ml can, and I also noticed that it has the Swedish pant on it too, which is a little reminder of my second home. But yeah, let's get this guy out into the glass then, and we'll see what it's all about. Quite looking forward to this actually. So there we go. Look at that, that thing is thick. Damn. I'm guessing we got this nice and mixed up when I was rolling it about. I'm quite happy with that. But look at that. Right, I think that is enough for the moment to have a look at the beer. We don't want to get the glass too full, otherwise the aroma, you can't stir it up as much. But before the head disappears on this one actually, you can see that it's poured with about a half finger of a frothy, kind of just tinted, almost like cherry cream coloured head or something like that. And you can see that is just fading away to just leave nothing on the top basically, but you can see carbonation just creeping its way up to the surface. But yeah, this one I have to say looks very, very nice. Appearance wise, the colour of this, I would always describe this as being like a Heart of Midlothian football jersey, like that kind of burgundy. Yeah, it's got that lovely dark kind of burgundy colour to it. So remember, the colour of your beer is going to depend on a few things. One, the type of malts that you use. This is going to, this goes a long way to determining your EBC rating. Two, length of your wort boil is going to play a role, because the longer you boil the wort, the more the sugars caramelise, and thus you get a darker coloured beer. Any barrel aging that you do or adjuncts that you put into the beer will affect its colour as well. But yeah, in the case of these modern smoothie sours, it's most of the fruits. So the vast majority of your colour in this one will be coming from a combination of the blackberries and cherries, I would think. The apricot's not going to give you much colour in this one. I would think the raspberry probably contributes to it a little bit as well. But yeah, that is absolutely where most of your colour in this one will be coming from. You can see that the beer is, very opaque as well. That's going to be down to the oat and wheat content in this one, without no question about that. But yeah, one or two big bubbles sticking toward the side of the glass on this one, and you can see a sort of steady stream of little bubbles coming up toward the surface of the liquid there. But yeah, the way this one goes together, I think, is appearance wise is kind of what you'd expect, but it's also very, very nice. So one thing I've always said about the smoothie sours is these beers are very straightforward often in terms of their flavour profiles and aromas, but if they're done well, they are so nice to drink. I love reviewing these beers. I really credit the likes of Elma Livin and Duck Pond in Sweden for having gotten me into these styles of beer. But yeah, this one looks great. It looks as if it's going to be thick as anything. So yeah, that's kind of what you want from a smoothie sour ale, if you like. So yeah, let's have a wee look at the aroma of this one then and see how we go. There's nothing particularly surprising about this beer in terms of its appearance, other than how thick it is, I would say. I didn't quite expect it to be as thick and creamy as that. So yeah, let's look at the aroma then and see what we have here. Oh yeah. It smells pretty damn good, I have to say. It's the raspberry actually, and the blackberry that jumps out of the aroma at me, not so much the cherry, in honesty. Yeah. I mean, obviously, the focus with this one is going to be on the fruit. I can smell the apricot in the background and the smoothness of the apricot in the background. But yeah, it's the blackberry and the raspberry, I think. The kind of tartar side of those is what jumps out at me. The cherries for me come across as being a little bit more juicy, if you like. And of course, when it comes to cherries, I'm a little bit more used to the likes of the the Stensbær ones from Copenhagen in Denmark, which I think are the tartest cherries that I've come across, in all honesty. And Scottish raspberries are very, very tart as well. And that's the thing is, you've got the same fruit, but you grow it in different places. Your soil chemistry and your water profiles and stuff are different, so the flavours of these things are going to be different. But yeah, I'd be curious to know where Arpus got a lot of their fruits from, because thinking about it, Latvia probably would be a good, probably at a good latitude to grow these kind of things as well. So maybe it is all local fruits and things that they've used in these, or at least from the Baltic region. Because yeah, they do smell, as I say, the cherries come across as a little bit more juicy for me. The raspberries have got the tartness in there. The blackberries, I think, are a little bit more tart than I'm used to as well. But then yeah, underneath you've got really soft apricot. I guess the apricot probably would have to be imported, because I think you need a slightly hotter climate to grow apricot, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, as I say, I'm not an expert on agriculture, so let me know in the comment section below if you have any comments on what I just said there. Always interesting to learn new things. I love learning about ingredients of beer. I'm a big ingredients nerd. Studied chemistry, so yeah, that's where that comes from. But yeah, I think we've covered the fruity side of this one quite nicely. So beyond that, this beer, the backbone of it, you've got a little bit of like fresh white bready bread crust in there. There's a little hint of kind of woodiness, some Jacob's cream cracker as well. Good little bit, I mean, there's maybe a little touch of brown bread in there, but mostly it's a kind of like fluffy white bread. And the oats and the wheat in this one are doing that thing that they usually do. They're kind of combining together to give you this sort of like yogurty type aroma. If you think of like Müller yogurt from Germany, the Müller, yeah, the kind of Müller corner yogurts, that's really, the beer has a little element of a kind of Müller vanilla type yogurt to it as well. So there are wee hints of vanilla in there. But yeah, the way that goes together, I think, is really very, very nice. Yeah, so that goes together really, really nicely in this one. The malty side is pretty straightforward. There's maybe a little bit of like Werther's Original butter candy butterscotchy sweetness to it as well, but that is quite minimal. The sweetness is mostly coming from the fruits. So when it comes to the yeasty side of the beer, that's at the back of the nose. It's kind of like it's kind of white bready, but it's also almost got a little bit of a kind of vanilla sponge cake or something to it. Yeah, kind of vanilla spongy, white bready kind of character coming out of this one. But yeah, the way that all goes together in this beer, I think, is really, really nice. Yeah, it's good stuff. It is really, really nice, the malty and yeasty backbone of this one, but it's kind of what we'd expect from the style. There's not too much to report on it. Now, when it comes to the hoppy side of this kind of beer, I'm pretty sure with this one there aren't hops in it, because it's very, very smooth, but you do still get a little bit of that kind of placebo effect as if there were. There's a little touch of like slightly earthy, woody kind of character, some floral notes and some grassiness in there. But yeah, the way that it goes together is really, really nice. So the thing with sour beers, it's always interesting to ask a brewery what their hopping mentality is when it comes to sour beers, because what they used to do with the old school lambics and kind of Flanders Reds and things from Belgium is they would use older hops that had lost a little bit of their alpha acid potency, because they didn't want the bitterness of the hops to take away from the sourness of the beer. Many brewers, modern sour beer brewers, still do that, such as Vault City and Holy Goat in Scotland, but many breweries that are brewing the kind of smoothie sour ales will argue that yeah, the fruit adjuncts which you put in the beer will suppress the hoppy component anyway, so there's no point in using the hops, and that is also a very valid argument. So, you know, I think the one that springs to mind is Coolhead in Finland. They do smoothie sours, but they also put a little bit of hop in it as well, because they'll say that that gives you a bit more depth of flavour. So it's always interesting to ask these breweries exactly what they're doing with their sour beers and what their kind of hopping mentality is. So yeah, something to keep in mind. But yeah, this one I'm pretty sure from the aroma that it doesn't have hops in it. Pretty sure about that. So yeah, always take a little bit of time to enjoy the aroma of your beer before you get stuck into it. We covered the fruits there. Like I say, I think the apricot is kind of giving the backbone of this beer, and yeah, the apricot's kind of giving you the backbone of the beer, while the other fruits are kind of sitting on top of that. But yeah, the way that all of that pieces together in this one, I think, is very, very nice. So aroma-wise, this beer gets a big thumbs up from me, and I'm very curious to try it. So let's do this. This one is the Apricot Blackberry Cherry Raspberry Smoothie Sour Ale at 5.5% ABV from Arpus in Eimuri, Adazi, near Riga in Latvia, in collaboration with Messorem Bractorium from Montreal, Quebec, over in Canada. Let's get stuck into this one. Slàinte, skål, cheers, Ishvetica, as I believe they'd say in Latvian, and santé, as they'd say in French. Oh yeah, that is very, very nice. As I said earlier, these beers are very often quite straightforward, but if they're done well, they are just really, really enjoyable. So yeah, gets a big thumbs up from me. Yeah, I think the way that everything kind of just pieces together in this one is as you'd expect. It's just a very, very good example of a smoothie sour, and the ones that I've had from Arpus in the past have always been really thick. We've actually just got a new bunch of Arpus beers that have appeared in Hong Kong, so I'll maybe need to go and have a look at the two smoothie sours that were in there. But yeah, this one is really damn nice. So where do we start then? Middle third of the palate, backbone of the beer. This thing, I will say, it's very yogurty and very, very creamy. But as you progress into the aftertaste, you get a little smattering of like white bready bread crust in there. You can feel a little bit of woody character further forward on the middle third of your palate. There's some Jacob's cream crackery notes sitting on top of that. So you've got the bread crust, the Jacob's cream cracker, the little bit of woody sort of thing. There's a wee bit of wholemeal brown bread in there. And then, yeah, on top of that you get a bit of fluffy white bread. But then everything else is, you can tell it's the mix of the oats and the wheat. It has this big, thick, creamy, yogurty type character coming out of it. So yeah, as I say, lovely big, thick, creamy, yogurty sort of note coming out of this one. And the yogurty character's kind of, I think it's got the sharpness of the kind of vanilla, natural yogurt, or whatever flavour you want to call it that you get in Germany. I really like how that, yeah, I do like how that pieces together in this one too. So lovely mix of, you get the wheat, the oats, and then the the little bit of sweetness sitting on top there. So yeah, in the dead centre of your palate you can feel there's a little circle there where you have a wee touch of like Werther's original butter candy butterscotchy note in the beer, and that's the alcohol coming out of this one. This is only 5.5% ABV, as we've said, but yeah, it still does give you that little bit of alcohol sweetness, which I do quite like. So yeah, in terms of the yogurty side of things, I don't know if there's too much else to say about that. It's a bit smoother further forward, you get a wee bit more vanilla out of it, and then yeah, you get a wee bit of dryness kind of further back as well. So yeah, it's really nice in that sense actually. So don't know if we need to say anything else about that middle third of the palate. Remember that generally speaking, sweeter flavours come out further forward on the palate, more dry and bitter flavours come out further back. But yeah, it's a very sweet beer style, this one for sure. And generally speaking, between middle and back third of your palate, you have a really nice you usually have kind of similar flavours, but just at different intensities. So yeah, the border region between middle and back third of your palate in this one, you can feel it just builds up there. You've got the white bread in the base, then a more dense, then yeah, you've got a more dense wheaty kind of note sitting above that. But yeah, the base of the back third of your palate, you've got the wee touch of drier bread crust in there, the Jacob's cream cracker, the brown bready layer, which feels a little bit lighter, taller, and more airy. Then above that, you've got the white bready layer, which again feels a little bit lighter, taller, and more airy. Then the kind of drier side of the yogurt just creeps over the top of that. So yeah, the way that that goes together, I think, in this one is really, really nice as well. But above everything else, you have you've got a nice kind of yeasty character in the beer. And I'm just trying to figure out exactly what's going on there, because the yeasty character is a wee touch different in this one. So the yeasty side of this beer for me, at its core, it's got a little bit of a kind of almost brown bready type quality. Then it's surrounded by like a fluffier white bread and a wee touch of bread crust in there as well. So yeah, the yeasty character in this one, you do get a wee bit of dryness out of that into the aftertaste. So yeah, the way that all of that kind of pieces together, I think, is very, very nice. So yeah, it's good stuff, definitely. I like the yeasty character in this one, just adds that wee bit more depth of flavour. On the back third of your palate, as you see, you can feel the back third of your palate, the flavour gets taller. Then as you move further forward into the middle third of your tongue, that just kind of compresses down and squashes together a little bit more. So yeah, I like that about this one. In terms of the green component of the beer, or the placebo green component as it would be in this case, pretty sure there's not hops in this one, but of course the fruit spreads around the edge of your palate and suppresses it anyway. So yeah, back corners of the palate, you've got a lovely little bit of it. There's a wee touch of earthiness in there. Then as you move further forward, it just gives you a little bit of kind of yeah, it does give you just a little bit of a slightly woody type note. Then yeah, as you push further forward from that, you've got some nice floral aromaticity and a little bit of grassiness coming out of the beer as well around the front curve of your tongue. But yeah, as I say, the fruity notes kind of suppress that. It's mostly, I think, the blackberry and the cherry are the ones kind of coming out around the edges of the palate. But let's go to the front third of your tongue then, and the kind of fruity side of things. So yeah, the border region between front third and middle third of your palate, again, you get the little bit of bready build up in there. You've got the kind of brown bread in the base, the white bread in the middle, then the more oaty, wheaty, creamy sort of stuff on top. Base of the front third of your palate, yeah, bread crust, Jacob's cream cracker, brown bread, white bread, and then the kind of yogurty, oaty, wheaty thing on top of that. And then yeah, all the fruity characters, or a lot of the fruity character, is coming out on top of that. So yeah. So yeah, the base of the fruity character in this beer, I would say, is yeah, the base of the fruity character in this beer, I would say, is the apricot. You can feel that forming the base of everything. I think the cherry sits on top of that as well, so I think it's kind of layered. You've got the apricot in the bottom, and that comes out more into the aftertaste. The cherries are definitely juicier in this one for me, but then yeah, the blackberry and the raspberry in this one are giving you a little bit more of a kind of tartness, if you like. So I think yeah, apricot. I think it's going to be apricot, cherry, and then the blackberry and the raspberry sitting there, and that just covers that front third of your palate. It's a really nice, enjoyable beer, this one. I have really enjoyed trying this. It's certainly up there with the standards that I've seen from Arpus in this style category before, and yeah, the Messorem smoothie sours. I think I've only had one, but it was pretty damn nice as well. But I think, you know, Arpus have the mouthfeel of these things like spot on. They do them very, very well. But yeah, I think we can leave it at that for the flavour section of the video. Let's round off the review with a wee look at the mouthfeel. So, yeah, for me, the mouthfeel of this beer, I'd say for the smoothie sour category, it's maybe not the thickest that I've come across ever, but it's up that end of the spectrum. It's a really kind of creamy, it's got this lovely big sort of creamy note to it, which I really do quite like actually. A lovely big sort of creamy character to it. So yeah, I'd say it's kind of mid-range, full-bodied within the smoothie sour category. Lovely creamy mouthfeel. The carbonation in this one's virtually non-existent, in honesty. Your IBUs are going to be like between 0 and 5 or something like this, and yeah, the way that all goes together, I think, is it's really, really nice. The malt base, there's a wee bit of dryness underneath, there's the smoothness in the middle, then there's the big kind of creamy yogurty sort of note on the top. It's got a little bit of sweetness in there as well, and yeah, the fruity notes in this one are lovely. It's got a really nice balance. It's not going to blow the head off you in terms of sourness. It's just it's kind of just lightly sour and slightly tart, I think is the way to do it. You're getting smoothness from the apricots and juiciness from the cherries and a little bit of tartness from the blackberries and raspberries in this one too. But a lovely, lovely beer, this one. Cool to see these two breweries collaborate, and it is really enjoyable, this. So yeah, I think we can leave it at that for this one. This has been really, really nice to try. So this was the Apricot Blackberry Cherry Raspberry Smoothie Sour Ale from Arpus in Eimuri, Adazi, near Riga in Latvia, in collaboration with Messorem Bractorium from Montreal, Quebec, Canada. A 5.5% smoothie sour ale, and big flavour for such a low ABV. I'd love to see some more kind of like imperial smoothie sours from these guys, just to see if it's, if there's any point going up to that, because these have got big enough flavour as they are, but an imperial smoothie sour from some of these breweries could be really interesting. But yeah, let's leave it there. Once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are, both from Arpus and from Messorem, and we will no doubt return to these guys again at some point in the near future. But in the meantime, check out my social media, check out Arpus and Messorem social media as well, and I will see you guys in another review very, very shortly. Slange, skål, cheers, santé, I Svetika, and I'll see you guys in another review later on. Ciao just now.